Hello, and welcome to the Grand Cinema Hotel, a podcast hosted by three friends who love cinema. I'm Gus, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Nate and Alvaro. Tonight, you'll be joining us in the lobby as we'll be discussing the summer movie season and other movies that we watched for the first time. So go ahead, grab a snack, and meet us in the lobby for the summer movie extravaganza.
What's going on, all you summer movie lovers? Welcome back to the Grand Cinema Hotel. As always, if you're listening on YouTube, smash that like button. If you're listening on any of the podcast listening apps, please go ahead and subscribe for notifications so you get let know when we drop our newest heat. With that being said, we are going into the summer extravaganza. We're just going to be talking about all the recent movies that we've seen that came out this summer and just some other ones that we've seen during the summer. So with that being said, should I talk about Nope?
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this.
All right. So, obviously, I wasn't here when we did Nope. I absolutely love that movie. I thought it was a good kind of departure from what he had been doing, honestly. A little vacation away from the psychological horror and more into, I don't know, grandiose nature of, nature, I guess. But thought it was really cool. It really was a spectacle. It didn't really leave me thinking as much as his other movies, but I don't know, dude. I just think it was super cool. I think can we do spoilers?
Yeah, I would say so, because
Alright.
they're definitely floating around online. People are talking about it since it's on VOD now.
I think that the reveal of what the alien actually was the biggest surprise for me. Other than that, it kind of went how I thought it would go, I guess, the movie. But dude, no, I thought that alien was so cool. I was expecting, especially because the trailer, it kind of led you to believe that there were going to be individual little ET boys running around or whatever. But I think the reveal that it was just a big predator was fucking sick.
Yeah.
I don't know, the extraterrestrial sailboat. I thought was pretty damn cool.
The Gene Jissy. How did you feel about the ending? Because me and Alvaro have been talking about. He talked to a few people who said they didn't really like the ending that much. Did you feel like it was a satisfying ending? Because I did.
I mean, I liked it. I honestly, what, did everybody just dies or something like that? I don't know. I feel like a lot of his movies, I guess Get Out was maybe a happier ending than Us, I guess, depending how you look at it. I don't really know. But I feel like at the end of the day, his people kind of make it through, so I don't know. I liked it. I liked the ending.
They tend to have a positive spin on them, even when they're really dark movies.
Exactly.
I don't know if you guys know this. The original ending of Get Out was going to end with Daniel Kaluuya getting arrested and going to prison and just kind of being a martyr for
didn't know that.
the cause. You know what I mean? Us kind of has, but he ended up going with a more satisfying ending. You got him and Rod at the end.
Yeah.
TS motherfucking A, we handle shit. You know what I mean? And then Us, you don't know really, I guess you don't know how to feel, right? Because it's got a very apocalyptic end of the world feeling, but then it's got these sweeping shots of the Hands Across America stuff and just the music blaring at the end, and it almost kind of feels like a happy ending because everything is just fucked. It's kind of like a sigh of relief versus is my family gonna be okay?
Exactly.
So I just don't think that he's really interested in having his main characters die, really.
Yeah,
or suffer.
And maybe he will do that with some of his later films, but I don't know. I just think that, all of his movies, I thought there was a lot of good humor in Nope, and I think the shot of, or the scene where the spacecraft is above the house is one of the coolest shits I've seen in a long time. That was just so damn cool. It's just raining blood.
It's a movie that I have not stopped thinking about since I've seen it. I've only seen it the one time, but it's fresh in my head every day I think about that movie.
And I think that there's like I was saying, there's a lot less to kind of take in and internalize with this movie. But I feel like the one part of this movie that you do kind of have to take in and break it down for yourself, people are missing. At least what I've seen on the internet discussions, oh my God, what's his name?
Gordy's home.
Yeah, exactly. The connection, the connection between Gordy and the alien itself, and how why can't I think of his name?
Stephen Yeun?
Yeah, Stephen Yeun.
Okay,
And his character, his connection between the two, and what how not dealing with that trauma, played into getting his whole family murked and everybody else. But no, I thought it was really cool.
How
man.
good is that sequence?
It's fucking awesome.
That's like top 3 in the movie. Right?
I would say so. Yeah.
I think the raining on the house, is that everybody's favorite moment here?
I think so. I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah, I think so. Right. But the Stephen Yeun, what is it called? The Starlight Lasso experience or something like that. That stuff was so just like ominous and scary. You know what I mean? And that kind of reveal. You still don't know for sure that we're dealing with the creature here, because when I saw it that first time, I just kept thinking, I was like, oh shit, like this thing looks like organic on the inside, or maybe it's this alien or spaceship that's so far advanced, kind of like Crimes of the Future, where you're like, why? Oh, so is it organic? Is it mechanical? Like, what's really going on here? But
it did give me
so scary.
Yeah, that sequence where they're getting sucked up and everything. It reminded me a lot of War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can kind of compare it to, but totally different than that, anyways. But yeah, really.
I was
cool
gonna
movie.
say about like the ending to me. I was telling Gus about this, that he's even kind of came out now and kind of said that there could be more there, and I think that it being kind of open ended like that makes more sense after hearing that too. And it's just also what I found interesting after watching the movie a couple times is before we had watched the movie, I don't know if you had seen this trailer, like right before the movie came out a couple weeks, there was like a 3-minute trailer for it. And it was like a supercut of like a majority of the movie. And then I think at the time I felt like, why is it showing so much? I remember Guess kind of had the same complaint
I think
too.
it's like when we were watching like
Thor
or Doctor Strange or something.
I don't think I saw that one.
There was like a crazy supercut that was way too long. And at the end of the day, like now, it didn't really matter too much because you don't get those themes, you know what I mean? You don't get what the play is on. Like, because even then at that moment, you just think it's still, like you said, it's going to be these aliens in a spaceship. You never really thought about that, like, oh, the entity, it's going to be a carbon-based entity itself or whatever. And so, yeah, that was the most interesting to me because it's ever since, like, I want to say, like, Arrival to me, stuff that, like, really changes what we see aliens as, seems like it's one of the hardest things because we always want to see them as these green kind of
Little green men.
What's the movie, Paul, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. You're reading my mind.
Yeah,
so funny.
Paul has that joke, or you can say it because I think it's really good.
Do you know how Paul just looks like your stereotypical alien? It's that I think they said that the government had had an agreement with the aliens, like this is how we're gonna market you, so that if a person ever saw you, they would already recognize, like, oh, that's an alien.
Yeah, that's funny.
But
I love that movie, Paul. That's funny.
So good, underrated classic.
But yeah, I think every time a movie does that and kind of gives us a new alien, and then, like it changes that, I always appreciate that as a sci-fi. And that you were talking about too, how I appreciated how this movie, Jordan Peele, kind of stepped away from horror themes and kind of more into sci-fi themes, you know, kind of more grandiose, what you were saying, themes. And I always find it interesting that people seem to want to find the answer to these questions in these movies, when I think all these movies do is represent those themes.
Exactly.
There is no answers to these themes, and I don't really see why sometimes we think a filmmaker would have those answers. But I think this movie just kind of basically lives in the space that those themes create.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the trailer that you had just mentioned. It was way too long, and I remember looking at you in the theater and being like, this is awful. I've been avoiding as much as I can, right? But that's kind of the beauty of how Jordan Peele films are marketed, which I think they're some of the best marketed movies like today.
Yeah, they are.
They leave you with so many questions when you're watching the trailer. You're like, okay, it hooked me in, but what the hell is this movie going to be about? And like the posters for Nope, I thought were so good. I don't know if you've noticed recently, but there's talk going around about how Stephen Yeun's poster, he's looking up and he's wearing the cowboy hat. And they're like, is that the cowboy hat or is that jean jacket? Because the closer you look at it, when you zoom in on it,
It actually looks like
very textured and like
cool.
just a lot of depth on it. You know what I mean? Where it doesn't look like a hat. And then you're like, oh shit, because then you connect it with the movie where he's looking up. And yeah, it's just one of those things where you don't realize how much jean jacket was really in the marketing until now that people have really just been analyzing it. And this is what I love about when a really popular movie, once it hits Twitter, because people will just dive into that shit, dude. And I bet you this is one of the perks of watching things on a laptop, is that you could just hit that space bar and screenshot something, or just it's like almost like watching it like you're editing it yourself. You know what I mean? So you can catch all these small moments.
Exactly.
But I always just love when a consensus popular movie like that starts hitting the internet, because that's where all the good shit that you never even noticed came out. Like, one thing for me is, like, I still don't think we ever really talked about why or what, like, the logistics are of, like, why that shoe was standing up straight, like, during Gordy's home.
That's something I still don't understand myself, honestly.
I don't even know if I want to. You know what I mean? I kind of was thinking, like, oh, maybe like Jean Jacket or one of these other kind of alien entities was around and kind of caused this to happen, like when everything malfunctions or
Maybe.
something like that. You know how animals, they are the first ones to sense these other worldly things. I kind of thought it was something like that, but then I just didn't. I still don't understand the shoe. So if anybody out there thinks they have a theory why, I'd love to hear it, because that's one for me where I've just totally kind of compartmentalize that and put that in the back of my brain. Like,
Yeah.
I guess I'll never know about the shoe.
Honestly, yeah, it could just be like, like an anomaly, like something that just sticks out at a moment of, almost trauma. That's like, why did that happen? And it just makes you, I don't know, there could be a lot of answers. I don't have one.
It's like, it feels deep, even though it's probably not.
It's a damn shoe. No.
It's a damn shoe.
Yeah, no.
Sometimes you stand up on accident. You never seen a quarter standing on its side?
You ever flip a water bottle and it lands?
Yeah, man, nope. I just think that was probably the best movie this summer.
It's been my favorite so
And
far,
I think it'll lead us into the next one, which you said you have not seen, Nate. I feel bad for you right now, but you have not returned to the danger zone.
I have not. No, I have not.
Return to the danger zone.
Alvaro, have you not seen this movie like 3 times?
4 times.
4 times? I'm talking about Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. Top Gun Maverick.
Consensus,
Wow.
this movie's very popular.
This movie rips.
Yeah,
It
it's
definitely
as simple
rips.
as that. This movie's fucking sick, dude.
This movie is cinema. I think that's just like the reason why it stand out to me so much. Obviously, I do like the original one a lot. I think R.I.P. Tony Scott. There's a lot of cool imagery in the original Top Gun. A lot of pinks and oranges in the sky, which this one doesn't have as much, but substitutes it for great. I feel like peak storytelling.
I would say this is, I don't know about peak storytelling because it is still Top Gun, but I would say like film, like ingenuity, like pushing the boundaries of what you could do while making a movie. I feel like maybe if this was like a documentary, or if this was maybe in someone else's hands that wasn't Tom Cruise, who is constantly trying to just one up himself, like he laughs death in the face.
Yeah.
I think maybe if this movie was it could have been something like Free Solo, you know what I mean? Like a documentary like that, where you'd have this real interesting camera angles and never before seen like points of view. But I just think with the Tom Cruise action star touch, like, we have to be real here. This guy's kind of directing these movies himself. You know what I mean? Like, he gets someone like Joseph Kosinski, who's done Tron and a few other like legacy movies, but I don't think Joseph Kosinski is why Top Gun is the way it is. The same way I don't think Mission Impossible is that way because of Christopher McQuarrie. Like, I think it's a real partnership with Tom Cruise because he's on that executive producer level where it's like we all know that this is the only reason these movies are even being made.
True.
And they don't even really make movies like this anymore. So to see him at 50 plus, like almost 60 years old, just kind of fucking go, what was it, Mach 10 or whatever? They were the G-forces, 10 G-forces.
Mach 10. Yeah, he still got it.
It was what Lightyear should have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think what's very interesting about that movie is that some people would argue it's better than the original. So.
Oh, I think so. I don't have that connection to the original. I mean, I seen it a couple years ago, like when HBO Max first dropped because it was on there. And, was like, okay, let me add this one to my bingo card. I've seen Top Gun.
Right.
But I definitely think this new one is the better film. Are you a fan of the original?
So that's what I was going to say is, I mean, I've seen it, probably a handful of times because everybody has. It's not one of my favorites. It never has been. I mean, like, it's cool. You know what I mean? Like, throw it on during the daytime, during summer.
Right?
Yeah, I guess. But that's probably honestly why I've been putting it off a little bit is because not the biggest fan of the first one. Everybody says it's super good. So I'm like, I don't know. I kind of tend to put movies off that everybody says are super phenomenal until I'm like, all right, I need to watch this.
Let's see. I'll see who said. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I thought the cast overall was better than the original too. You know what I mean?
You love your Miles Teller
for the first time, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day. But I did like the cast. I wish it could have focused on them a little more. It does just become the Maverick show at the end. Tom Cruise has got to step in and save the day. But what do you expect, right?
Yeah.
It feels like a final hurrah, but we know it's not. Like, I could see them making more Top Gun movies because I do think like Miles Teller and Glenn Powell carried enough to like, okay, well, let's get
Hand
one
it
more
off.
with just that. Like, let's see if they can do it. You know.
Yeah.
I also thought it was kind of like a meta movie, not because of yes, because of the movie itself, but also just everything outside of it. You know, like Tom Cruise is training these young guys in the movie, but then I feel like when you're around Tom Cruise, he's probably teaching you how to be a movie star as well. So like just things like that, and like Maverick's story, like, oh, this is gonna be the last time I fly. Like maybe Tom Cruise thought, you know, if this movie flops, I don't know if they're gonna let me keep making these huge action movies. Like I think it's Paramount, right? Who makes these movies?
Yeah.
And the Mission Impossible ones. Like he kind of held them hostage to get this right. You know what I mean? Like it went way longer than it should have. Shut down multiple times, and we all know how Tom Cruise views the art of cinema. You know what I mean? Like it's very powerful to him, and I feel like that's another thing he's been doing with Top Gun is kind of spreading the message of the magic of cinema and how he is someone who must be talked about when you're talking about carrying movies these days.
Right.
I did think that for many years Tom Cruise kind of like middling, you know what I mean? Like, oh, the Mission Impossible movies are cool, but he doesn't really do anything else. But especially now with like this other CinemaCon footage we've seen of him of like, see you at the movies, and falling backwards on the plane, like it does feel like a good time to buy some Tommy Cruise stock again. You know what I mean?
I said him and Nicole Kidman and the divorce.
Jesus
They divided the attention of the cinema. So Nicole Kidman does it through the AMC ads, and Tom Cruise does it through these crazy ass stunts.
They need to play them back to back, and then the motion smoothing thing, right?
Exactly.
Turn off the motion smoothing.
So I'm not really the biggest fan of Tom Cruise, but I mean, I'll give it to him. He's an animal when it comes to making movies.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he does all his own shit and just puts in the amount of work that he does, I respect that.
I feel like
but
you've had a Tom Cruise assance, right, Alvaro? Like
Yeah.
this summer, I feel like you watched quite a few Tom
I did
Cruise
watch a lot of
movies.
Tom Cruise movies. 'Cause I was just trying to
we'll get to that one later, because that might be Tom
Yeah.
Cruise's best role.
Yeah.
Between me and Ro, at least. But I think another movie we really wanted to talk about. This is a consensus movie as well. I do think this summer had very obvious hits and misses, even though I didn't get to see them all. But that's Hulu's original movie. I like that.
Yeah.
Prey.
Hulu got a win. That's
Dub.
crazy.
It's a massive dub.
I know.
Massive dub for Hulu. Netflix is drowning. Huh? Down bad, bozo.
Predator is back, dude.
And-
I never thought I'd see the day.
And Disney's down bad as well.
You know, I do think. Are you a fan of the Predator franchise? Overall?
I love Alien and I love Predator. I really do.
The only Predator movie I have not seen is that reboot or continuation. I'm not sure, from a few years ago.
The Predator?
or Predators.
The Predator.
Okay.
Predators, I fuck with. The
Yeah.
one where they're on like the Predator planet.
I haven't seen that one.
That
but
was
I
sick.
did.
That's what the
Adrian
Adrian Brody.
Brody's in
Yeah,
it,
that
yeah.
shit's hard.
Mahershala Ali is in that movie
Yeah.
too, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah, that one's kind of sick, dude. You got to check that out. That's on Hulu
It's
as
fun.
well.
That's like a fun one. Yeah.
I'm a pretty big fan of the Predator. I wouldn't say like I know the lore all crazy
Right.
or anything like that, but hey, man, I'm a simple man. Put the Predator in front of me. I'm gonna watch him do his little
Yeah,
noises.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His cheap ass fucking camouflage.
I'm gonna watch him hunt.
I'm gonna watch him hunt. You know what I mean? And I've seen him get his ass beat quite a few times by the alien.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's interesting because like you'll have movies like this that have been going on since the fucking 70s or 80s. The franchise just keeps going on, and it still works for me compared to like something like Halloween. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I don't know why that is. Maybe just because sci-fi's like this shit. But no, I think they did a really good job. It's nice that they kind of took a steer away from what they've been doing with the Predator franchise, and you know, I think that's maybe why it felt a little fresh. And it's just always interesting when you see like two different worlds come together, I guess, where you have, you know, Native Americans in the 1700s versus this invisible OP alien from who the fuck knows where. It's pretty badass, you know.
Definitely. I do think the Predator, you called it like having like an Assassin's Creed type archetype,
Yeah.
right? Like you can just dump him into any time and it would
works.
work. What are some you would like to see? I'd like to see him in like Japan fighting the samurais. That'd be pretty sick.
That would
Yeah.
be sick.
I
Knights.
mean, what was that show called? Was it called Deadliest Warrior back? in the
Yes,
Yeah.
dude, that's
Put
just
them all against
hard.
the
the
Xenomorph.
the Zulu Warriors.
One of
Exactly.
Napoleon soldiers for
Yeah,
the French
exactly.
army. I do think it was smart for them to take a whole different direction in terms of like almost everything except for the fact that it's about the Predator. I mean, it's about Native Americans. It's you got the time skip going back in time. You have a female protagonist, which made the incels very angry.
Yes.
Yeah.
They MCU'd Predator, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense that she could kill him. It didn't make any sense that Arnold Schwarzenegger killed him either. You
Yeah,
know what
true.
I mean?
Pete is pissed.
Yeah, exactly. They killed the bear.
Yeah, I thought that conversation, that discourse was very annoying and very obvious. I mean, we're still seeing it right now with it jumped from Prey to House of the Dragon and the new Lord of the Rings show, which I've been watching both of those as well. But the common denominator is that they're about women, so obviously this is bad. I don't get it at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. I thought Amber Midthunder, the main actress, that she gave one of my favorite performances
She did a
from
really
the
good
whole
job.
year. I hadn't really seen her in anything before. I don't know if you guys have.
I'm not familiar, no.
Nope.
No, but I do want to see anything she's in going forward. And the brother as well. I think his name is, excuse me if I get this wrong, but I do think his name is Dakota Beavers. And I thought he gave a wonderful performance as well, so I'd like to see him in more shit too. I had a question for you, Nate. Did you watch this in like the Comanche dub, or did you just watch it in English?
I
'Cause I've
watched
seen
it in
both.
English. I did watch it in English.
What about you, bro?
I just watched it in English. I tried watching it in Comanche, but I didn't like that it wasn't filmed that way, so it threw me off.
So, did it have? Because I watched it like that, but honestly, I didn't even notice because I was watching it with the baby sitting next to me. I watched it on a pretty low volume, so I don't think I really noticed if the mouth and the audio didn't sync up. Was that what was going on? Because
Yeah.
I've seen a few people talking about it. All right.
I didn't even know that they had a Comanche dub, honestly. I did
You
not
kind
know
of had
that.
to like go to the extras tab, and then it had like the second version of it.
Gotcha.
I did think it was cool that they've done that because
Yeah, that
I mean
is
I
cool.
can't really think of too many other movies that have done that, at least in America, other than Apocalypto.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately this movie kind of reminded me of just a tiny bit. Maybe I don't know if you watched a movie in a different country, you'd have something like this, but this was something I hadn't seen in a very long time, and I thought it felt really fresh, especially with it being IP. So
Yeah.
I guess sometimes IP does it right, and I thought Prey was one of those examples.
Yeah.
I think so, too.
I agree too.
I mean, if you like the Predator franchise, you're going to like this movie, I think. If you don't, give it a shot. It is a little bit different than the other one, so I think it's got a little bit for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing with a lot of these summer movies. I feel like I don't have a whole episode's worth of things to say about them, but they're still movies I like really, really enjoyed.
Mhm.
I think Nope is probably the only one that like really deserved an
Yeah.
episode, honestly. But the rest of these, it's just like I can enjoy them without ranting about them.
Yeah, and I think that's what's always. I feel like that's kind of what summer movies are all about. Like, you go to the movie, you see it, it's a lot of fun. Like, there's been a lot of fun movies that have come out. You know what I mean? Like, go grab a Slurpee and some popcorn.
Top Gun is that.
Enjoy it, go home, and think about it for a few days.
And it's like that at the highest level.
Yeah, exactly.
But then it's still a roller coaster ride, and 2 days from now, are you really? You don't have that same feeling. Like it doesn't stick with you the same way.
True.
But something like Nope, where even though it's not his deepest movie, it still has so much like value in the.
It's a standout for sure, I
yeah,
think.
exactly. But I kind of wanted to open the floor up to Alvaro because he has seen the most movies this summer. So I kind of wanted you to just go through, let us know if it was worth watching or not watching, because just like the audience, I probably haven't seen most of these either. So I'd like to hear what you've seen. I need Alvaro's summer movie report.
I guess I've highlighted 22 movies that I've
Okay.
seen. But obviously starting from ones we talked about having these are some mids in here.
Some
but,
faves and some mids. Not everything was good this summer.
But some people, might think they're better than I do. So at least they're worth checking out, which is like Watcher. Chad seen that movie, which is like Chloe Okuno's movie, which has, what's her name? Oh, Micah Monroe. It's a pretty straightforward horror movie to me. I think it's worth checking out. You know what I mean? I saw Cha Cha Real Smooth, which had been doing really good in the festivals. That was on Apple TV. I saw that movie. Pretty good story. Pretty feel-good story. I didn't think it had invented anything new, but I do think it's worth checking out.
Dakota Johnson played a mom in that movie,
Yeah.
right? Like a teenage mom.
She's supposed to be like a little older.
No, I mean like she had like a teenage daughter in the
Oh,
movie,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Crazy, right?
So-
like 50 Shades of Grey was not that long
No,
ago,
for
and
real.
now she's playing
So-
mothers of teenagers.
I do think it's worth checking out. Then we have Thor: Love and Thunder, which I did
which
see
I saw as well.
with Gus, which Yeah, it's fun. It's a summer movie. You know what I mean?
Not as bad as everybody said, but also such a step down and repeat kind of.
I was gonna say, was it better than Ragnarok?
No.
No.
Because I actually didn't. I liked Ragnarok.
Exactly.
And for me to like those movies, I feel like, yeah, I don't know.
It just kind of felt like contractual. Like, we kind of have to make this.
Yeah.
Nobody really seemed like they were too into doing it. Christian Bale did.
Yeah,
I know,
I like
he,
Christian
I
Bale.
know he had a lot of fun with that one.
I did like Christian
But
Bale in that
I don't
movie,
think
that's
anyone
it.
else really cared.
Yeah, so that's worth checking out if you're into the kind of spectacle like
Still
that.
not on Disney Plus either. I thought it would be by
It's
now.
coming out on what's Disney Plus Day?
I don't know.
It's one of these. It's coming up like this week. That movie's gonna debut because it's coming out that day.
Sheesh, why didn't you get us on the payroll?
So I'm just saying. I've seen the commercial for it. Anyways, I
pay you
also
to say
see the Where the Crawdads Sing, which was only appealing because of Daisy Edgar Jones. Apparently, is a very popular book. It's cool.
Edgar
We're checking
Jones
out.
Hive, Rise Up.
It's a feel good story. I think it's worth checking out.
It looked pretty
It
good.
has some yeah. Then I saw Both Sides of the Blade, which had our man Vincent Lindon, and also had Julia Binoche, which I haven't seen anything else she's in, but apparently she's pretty popular. But it's also Claire Denis' movie. That was okay. I feel like
Was
I
this
haven't.
your first Claire Denis movie?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it wasn't forgettable, but it didn't stand out to me either. You know, so.
Yeah.
Probably didn't catch her best, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because I've heard a lot of good things about her, so I think I just thought because I wanted to see something Vincent Lindon did again. He did fine. I just didn't think it was anything special, but it's still
Interesting.
worth checking out. After that, I guess I'd have Bodies, 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 which a lot of people are liking. I appreciated what this movie was trying to say. I just don't like the way it was executed, in all honesty. So maybe it'll grow on me, but I do think it's worth checking out. Yeah, I would be interested to see what you guys think in that movie, just because its humor isn't really for me, but it's a humorous movie.
It's a satire, right? It's all about Gen Z.
Exactly.
It's Kanye's least favorite movie this summer.
Yeah, exactly. Opening up the floor a little bit more for this other one is Elvis,
Yes, here
yeah.
we go.
which
Finally,
we've all watched Elvis. I think. I don't know.
I think you're the only way. Did you see it in the theater, Nate?
I did see it in the theater.
Okay, so you saw it in the theater
Mhm.
also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to watch it on HBO yesterday, as of this recording, because it had just dropped. What did you think? I mean, you've seen it alone.
I was just gonna say it's really fun for like the first half of the movie, and I thought it was really long, and then it gets exhausting. I felt so then kind of like lost my
But
interest.
doesn't Elvis's life isn't that exhausting?
Yeah, exactly.
The point.
And I just really couldn't get over Tom Hanks's character, which I think honestly might be the worst character I've ever seen him do.
I don't know. He's done some pretty bad stuff. Tom Hanks being one of our all-time great actors, he's also been in a lot of like very bad, forgettable movies.
It's true. He's done a lot. I mean, I really liked Elvis. You know, like it was a spectacle. Like there's a lot of pretty lights. You know what
Yay.
I mean? Which it was. I liked it a lot. I think that we kind of talked about it. The fact that it's told through Tom Hanks's point of view, almost.
This is my big problem.
Is like that's a big turnoff, especially just because that dude's so fucking shitty. Like it almost is kind of like. I just wish they would have told the story and him have been like a side character, I
Yeah,
guess, rather than
exactly.
him be like the narrator. One of the most unreliable narrators that I can remember throughout recent film history. But no, it was really good. You know, it was really fucking long, honestly. Kind of wish that I had the chance to watch it at home so I could have taken a little break, you know, halfway through. But it was good. You know, Baz Luhrmann always has, you know, he's a showy guy. So
I mean, his name's
Yeah.
Baz. You know what I mean? I know you like some of his other movies, don't you? I mean, we
Yeah,
all
I
kind of
mean-
have varying degrees of love for him.
you know, Romeo and Juliet's
yes.
really good.
Yes.
That's probably his best. I love
Great Gatsby.
Yeah, Great Gatsby. I really like that movie. I think he's the right guy to make that kind of movie. Like I said, very showy and, you know, extravagant, so it makes sense. I liked Elvis a lot. I think I liked the other two maybe a little bit more. But it's an enjoyable movie. I liked it.
I know you showed this movie to your parents, Alvaro,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we've been talking about this weird Tom Hanks angle. So when you were putting it on for them, did you tell them this is like if they made Selena through Yolanda's point of view?
No, I just put on the movie. You know what I mean? And it's just very interesting. They take things differently. They just really were in it for the show. My parents watch like anything, but Elvis It is really appealing to the eyes. you
Yeah, I
know?
mean, halfway through the movie, well, not even halfway, I think maybe like 30, 40 minutes in, I'm sitting on the couch, I'm watching it, my daughter's sitting next to me, and she was having a hell of a time. I think it's because it was such an overstimulating movie. But I paused it, and I looked at my wife, and I said, oh, hey, this is Coco Melon for adults. Because that's literally the only way I could really describe this movie. Every frame is being used as much as it can be used. Crazy editing decisions.
Yeah.
Feels like they were on some substances when they were in that editing booth. I know, Baz Luhrmann. What could you really expect other than this? But the Tom Hanks performance itself kind of melted away from me halfway through. I was like, whatever. This is him. This is just what it's gonna be. But just it being through his point of view, and then like those weird sequences of like him like Omega old, like walking through the casino.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is when I decided to roll the dice.
On his
You know
fucking
what I mean?
oxygen and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
like it's
crazy.
I just didn't get it. But I mean, Austin Butler's performance.
Yes.
Don't be
Great
surprised
job.
if
Yeah.
he wins the Oscar for Best Actor. I mean,
he did
True.
a phenomenal job.
Rami Malek, Taron Egerton got a lot of love when he played Elton John. This is kind of the formula now for becoming a serious, well-known actor.
Nothing
But I
wrong
do
with
think
him.
that he encapsulated Elvis as well as he could.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
no one really looks like Elvis, but I think you can totally get past that. With
Yeah,
Austin
he
Butler.
was very
Agreed.
believable Elvis, I feel like. So
I mean, I really enjoyed this movie overall. The only reason I had given it like a 4 out of 5, and the only reason I don't think it's like it's just some crazy example of how far you can push filmmaking is because of the Tom
yeah,
Hanks.
because we have to make more snow.
Yeah.
More snow for the snowman.
Yeah, like the fuck.
So yeah, that was interesting. Yeah. So
I wouldn't exactly recommend it either.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see it, go see it. I'm not going to be like, you have to go see this movie because, I mean, it is long. And like we said, the narrative view of it is a little bit different, but it was
Oh,
enjoyable.
well, another thing I wanted to say about Elvis before we moved off of it was that they acknowledged some of the controversial things about Elvis, but they never really make the movie about that.
No.
So, like, if that's another thing. If you don't like Elvis, or you think he is a culture vulture, or that his whole career was based off of stealing other people's music, I don't think that this movie doesn't do anything to kind of make it seem like it's not going to appeal to those people. You know,
if
what I mean?
if
It's not
anything,
really
it made
trying to-
excuses for him. You know what I mean?
It's not apologizing for it.
No,
at all.
it's-
It's just kind of like, well, hey, this is what people used to do, and sorry, I kind of stole everything from you guys.
Yeah.
But I did think it was kind of weird that they kind of not made it political, but there was a joke that it's kind of Forrest Gumpy, like he witnesses all these historical events.
It is.
yeah, that's
Um,
interesting. That's
I don't know. I just think they took some. Elvis's life is interesting enough without adding all these other elements to it. You know what I mean? But if you like Elvis music, I think that you're gonna look past everything and just be like, "Fuck
This
yeah,
is
that
cool.
was a sick ass 2.5 hour concert."
Yeah, if you want to go watch a disco ball for 3 hours, this is your movie. You know what I mean?
I do want to watch a disco ball for 3 hours, but I think that wraps up our Elvis.
Yeah.
talk.
Okay, so another movie that I watched this summer, which was interesting, was B.J. Novak's directorial debut called Vengeance. I felt very straightforward movie, but it took it definitely had my interest. He basically is just a podcaster, which is like shout out,
Pandering ass.
Yeah. And I think it's worth checking out. It's one that you guys, I feel, could check out at home. It's something you throw on. You'll be like, oh, this is better than I thought it would be. A little bit in the documentary side. I don't watch them too often, not because I have anything against them, but because I have a really hard time kind of being like, this was a bad documentary. To me, it's like, well, it's informing on a subject, then it's probably did its job, But I did watch Fire of Love this summer too. And that was just a spectacle on its own. I like science. Volcanoes are fucking rad. So
That's a
if you
movie I
gu-
do want to see really bad.
If you guys are into that type of stuff,
I'm sad I missed it in the theater.
I know.
Feels like a Dunkirk type event where I'm like, I don't even think I want to watch it since I didn't get to see it in the
Need to see that in
theater.
IMAX.
But-
Call me when the 1 year anniversary and they bring it back.
and they bring it back. Yeah, but that's worth checking out. I saw this Amazon movie that actually I think came out last year. It's Charlotte Colbert's movie. It's called She Will. It's a horror movie. I thought this was a pretty well executed horror movie, actually. It kind of reminded me of some of the old Giallo movies. I thought it had a lot of elements from movies that I haven't seen in a while. So I would highly recommend that movie. I know we kind of have that horror niche in this podcast. So I'd kind of check it out. Be interested in seeing what you guys think about that too, or what anybody else would think about that.
Oh, you know what? I want to bring up one that I saw on streaming, and I don't think either of you have seen it, but it's one of Netflix's biggest disasters financially.
Oh.
But The Gray Man,
The Gray
right?
Man.
So I did see The Gray Man. Have you seen it?
I haven't
Nate?
seen it yet, no.
Oliver, I know you
Nope.
haven't, right? Definitely not like the worst movie I've ever seen, that's like the thing about film Twitter. You know what I mean? Is that
Everything's the best or the worst. Yeah.
yeah, right. So then by the time I watched it maybe like 2 weeks after it came out. I had a day where I watched like 3 or 4 action movies. I watched The Gray Man. I watched Miami Vice, the Colin Farrell one,
I
watched
yeah.
Triple
Nice.
Frontier.
Dude, nice. I fuck with
So I had
Miami
a full
Vice.
action day, right? But The Gray Man, thought Ryan Gosling was, just doing a role that's been done many, many times. But I'm a huge Ryan Gosling fan, obviously. He is me. I am him. You know what I mean? So he, me for real. Or what do you
He's
always
me
say?
for real.
He's like me for real.
Yeah. He's me for real.
But I thought the standout performance of that movie was Ana de Armas. So I know you said you saw No Time to Die recently, right, Nate? She was phenomenal in that as
She was.
well. And I think I need her in a full action, maybe not franchise yet, but I need a full action movie of Ana de Armas because I feel like she's the best parts of these movies. And it's like Keanu levels of choreography. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I was just so impressed with her in the movie. And I got to be honest, I know that she is a internet darling, but I mean, okay, in Blade Runner, she was cute and she was every guy's fucking like, oh man, I wish I had a Joy. You know what I mean? And Knives Out, she was cool, but I have yet to really have her be in a role where I was like, oh, I get the Ana de Armas love. And it's funny that it was in one of the worst movies she's been in, The Gray Man. But
That's funny.
yeah, I thought that it's like, yeah, just give me more her doing action.
I think the last movie I saw her in was a movie that she did with Ben Affleck.
Deep Water?
Yes.
She cucked him?
Yeah, dude.
I watched that movie
Jesus
as well. I really liked
Christ.
that movie because
It
it
was
was so
interesting. I was
it
like,
so,
Jesus.
is this Ben Affleck's real life?
And
You
he's
know
just
what I
out
mean?
here murking fools. Like, yeah, you can be with him. Like,
He just
Jesus.
casually mentions that he developed the fucking drones that they nuked the Middle East with.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wait, what?
The movie's got some interesting things going
That
on.
movie's
in
all
it.
over the place.
Killed the
but-
dude from Euphoria. Spoiler alert.
No.
She is going to be in one of the most anticipated movies of the year still, which is Blonde. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, a lot of discourse around Blonde already, but we will see. It looks interesting visually. I don't even know if I'm that interested.
Have
in
you
it,
guys seen the new movie? What is it? Don't Worry, My Darling, or whatever that is?
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, darling.
yeah. Have you
Dis-
seen it?
No. It's
Okay.
not out yet.
Oh, it hasn't come out yet?
No.
Oh, I thought it came out
The
last week.
discourse is just that bad.
Insane online. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've stayed away from everything, but I thought it looked interesting. But I don't know.
Oh, it does,
Those
but-
movies are gonna be a
It's
hit
one of
or a
those
miss,
movies
so.
that
It's got a pretty nice cast too. Florence Pugh, but whatever.
Oh, we'll get into that another day.
the drama. Yeah, I guess we'll get into that another day. The drama surrounding that movie is just like, wow, very Hollywood, you know?
Interesting.
Love it.
I haven't seen anything about it. I'm
Another
curious.
movie that I did see this year, which I thought was really good actually, is Emily the Criminal, which has Aubrey Plaza as the protagonist. I thought this movie would not gonna get a lot of love, but I thought if this movie was a guy character, there'd be a lot of he's just like me for real type characters. He's very Nightcrawler-ish. I think I love seeing Aubrey Plaza play a character that is kind of fits the tone that she's made out for herself. You know, someone that could be very smart and also witty and a little evil. So
Yeah, right. Like that April character from Parks and Rec kind of is like, she embodies that so well because you're like, I'm pretty sure that is you.
That's
I think
her.
that's how she
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza is an interesting actor because she's a very good actor,
Mm-hmm.
but she's always every year she's in a movie or 2 movies that everybody talks about how good they are, but no one's ever seen it. You know what I mean?
True.
Like it's one of those movies where the average movie-going audience does not know that this movie even exists.
Yep.
But usually it's one of the better movies of the year.
That's a good point.
I feel like if you go on like Prime or Hulu and you just type in her name, there'll be like 4 or 5 movies that are like really enjoyable watches, but for some reason it's not translating to
Better roles.
bigger roles or not
bigger.
yeah,
to
bigger,
avoid.
like just more spotlight. You know what I mean? Maybe because she hasn't sold out and done any IP. I don't think, but I mean, she was in that show Legion, which is like an X-Men show on FX.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
But yeah, I don't understand why it's not really translating. I thought it would after Ingrid Goes West, but
Yep.
I don't know. But she has this nice little corner of I wouldn't even call it Hollywood. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't feel like she's part of Hollywood.
She flies
but-
under the radar.
Yeah, she flies under the radar, and she just keeps making these really solid movies. And it's like, if you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I do think she's a really good actress. It's interesting that she lives in that realm. Like,
It's kind of just underappreciated. Like they're waiting for someone to kind of pluck her out and be like, "Oh, duh, you've been sitting here this whole time." But
She's been working for a while, so
yes, I mean, I think we're over a decade plus of having Aubrey Plaza in our
Parks and Rec is
TVs.
at least like 10 years old. Yeah.
I think every film past this one that I did watch, well, Emily the Criminal was the first, but everyone past this I really enjoyed, and I think are probably in contention for
Jurassic
some of my
World.
favorite of the year. But I saw Resurrection, which was with Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth. Interestingly enough, I thought this movie, people have a lot of discourse with Alex Garland's Men. I know that we liked it for general consensus, but I thought this movie had the same themes as Men, but addressed them in a very more, what's the word I'm trying to say? Not as strong-handed, you know. And I thought Tim Roth, which I haven't seen him in a lot recently.
You're not
but
watching She-Hulk?
but yeah, oh shit, I forgot that he's in that. But yeah, this is a movie that I think is definitely worth watching. I think Rebecca Hall does a really good performance here, and I feel like
Did
it's
you
gonna
see
go
The Night
underrated.
House?
I didn't, but I've heard a lot about that.
I
movie.
have. That's not this year, but that was like the last horror movie she made, and she's kind of also carving out this role for herself of playing these women who are going through like the most.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And she's doing a hell of a job doing it. I feel like she's kind of not having a renaissance, but a push. You know what I mean? Because these movies are kind of going to streaming a little faster than than another movie would.
Exactly.
I feel like the benefit of that is that more people will see it because like Resurrection, for instance, on my TV when the Amazon ads are just kind of flying by, that is one I see all of the
Okay.
time.
Yeah, see.
So I do think that movie is probably picking up on VOD heavy because the longer it's been out, the more I see people talking about it.
Yeah, that
But it's one of
movie
those
is-
ones where it kind of arrives and makes no noise. You know what I mean? But
So
if you know, you know.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it very much, so I would highly suggest checking that one out. The next one that I have is Bullet Train, which that's like my Elvis, like for me. like,
Okay.
like where the visuals surpass me being like, okay, I could take this story not being whatever, but this movie's just really fun. I love me some Brad Pitt. The comedy in this film overall, some of it doesn't land as much as it probably does for other people on me. Kind of has a little bit of that Marvel humor, but
Because the guy
it's-
who made Deadpool made it, no?
yeah.
Yeah.
So besides that, though, I did think this movie is one of my favorite of the year for sure, and it's just one of those action movies that I just kind of feel like champions the kind of like the mid-budget action movie that we don't get a lot of. So I just kind of like it for that, and I definitely think it's worth checking out.
Did
Bad
you guys
Bunny.
ever end up seeing The Lost City, the Sandra Bullock Channing
I
Tatum
never
movie?
saw it. No.
So it's recently on Prime Video, so I watched it, and Brad Pitt is in that
Mhm.
also.
True.
And I was having a conversation with Alvaro about this earlier in the week. We were talking about Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio and kind of the differences between them. And I think Brad Pitt is more of like a working man's movie star.
Yeah.
Where he's willing to be in these movies that are kind of questionable. Where it's like it might not be good, you might really enjoy it.
Mhm.
I think Bullet Train and The Lost City are both fit those bills. Like that, Leonardo DiCaprio, you could not pay
He
him
would not
enough
do
money
that,
to
yeah.
do that.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
But Brad Pitt will do the Deadpool cameo where he gets electrocuted and you just
Yeah,
see his face really
exactly.
quick. And I just think that's one of the reasons I prefer Brad Pitt is because he's not waiting around for Ad Astra every 5 years. He is willing to just kind of put himself out there. And then with like the producing the movies too, he produces a shit ton of really good movies. But I have not seen Bullet Train. It looks fun. But if it wasn't Brad Pitt, I would not see that movie.
True.
Facts.
I honestly think that's probably one of the that might be the movie that I'm the most disappointed that I haven't seen yet. I just think because it just looks so fucking fun. You know what I mean? And Brad Pitt is. I mean, I love Brad Pitt too.
The reason I had brought up The Lost City, I don't really have anything to say about it. It's exactly what you think it would be, right? But I mean, and I haven't seen Bullet Train either, but I've seen that opinion thrown on it as well. It's like it's kind of just exactly what you would expect it to be. That is kind of like the double-edged sword of they don't make these movies anymore. Is that
That's why.
there was a lot of movies that were just kind of whatever. You're like, damn, they spent like $75 million on that, like just for
Just
shits and
'cause,
giggles
yeah.
because Brad Pitt thought it would be fun.
Needed something
You
to
know
do.
what I mean? And I felt that way with The Lost City, at least, where it's like, you could have made something else. You could have used this to make something really cool, or like 15 movies that are small but very
Right.
good. So I don't know. I'm still team just keep making more movies and make any movie, but Brad Pitt recently, for me at least, it's just kind of like, maybe this is why they don't make these anymore, because they're not that good.
True. Yeah.
I mean,
'cause-
IP is not the answer, but there's got to be something else, you know? Like,
Yeah.
some of these movies are not really doing anything except existing.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like who are you catering towards? you
Yeah,
know?
right. But I wanted to talk about a piece of IP because I think all three of us have seen it, was Lightyear.
oh yeah.
Mhm.
This trailer looked so gas, right? I mean, you had Starman playing. You had some of the most beautiful, like, CGI 3D visuals I've ever seen, honestly. Why does it look so good?
Exactly.
I remember the first time we saw the trailer, I told you guys, like, if they made a Dune animated series, this is what I imagined it would look like. But overall, Chris Evans continuing to not make any good movies since he's been in the Avengers. Knives Out, but he's not exactly the reason Knives Out is great. Yeah, just super whatever. Like,
Yeah, that's how I felt too.
such a marketing gimmick, right?
It's
Like,
especially just the hype that I felt towards that movie going into it. Like, very rarely is a movie like that going to get me all, gassed up. But I was super excited for it. I watched it. I didn't watch it in theaters. I did watch it at home. And I just think, in the beginning, I was like, okay, like, here we go. Like, what's this going to be? And then I think towards the end, and then even, like, I don't know, like, midway through, like, the reveal of who the fuck Zurg is, I wanted to die. I turned it off and finished it the day later just because I was
No
like,
way.
I'll give it a chance maybe. But because I was just like, bro, like, Zurg could have been so badass. Like, there could have been something going on. The movie just kind of fell flat. But some gorgeous animation, honestly.
That's what it has. Yep.
it's because it had Taika Waititi. No, I'm just kidding. But overall, just, so disappointing. And I mean, it has Keke Palmer, it's got Chris Evans, it's got Taika Waititi. You'd think it'd be at least to a certain standard, but it did
was
not
not.
feel like anything special at all. Like you said, that Zurg reveal, spoilers, I guess. I really don't care if I spoil this for you. That was so, like, me and Alvaro were actually just talking about this earlier in the week. I was like, that was such a dumb reveal.
It was.
Like, it's such
It
a
made me turn the
wasted
movie off,
You know
dude.
what I mean?
Like, yeah.
Especially since this is just marketing and IP bullshit, and they're hoping that this movie did good enough to make another prequel sequel.
Yeah.
You know
Never
what I mean?
happened.
But you've already ruined Zurg. Like, I don't care. I don't care, and there's no other Buzz Lightyear IP for you to even go off of.
No, there's
You
not.
know, this movie lost me when it's had the intro of, like, in 1997, Andy's favorite movie came out. This is that movie. Like, even logistically, that doesn't make any sense.
Like, okay.
So why doesn't it look like a movie from then? You know, just all
It doesn't
types
make
of
a
dumb
lot of
shit.
sense.
Yeah. Anyways, Lightyear, probably one of the worst movies I've seen.
The only thing that I
overall
really
this
liked
year.
about
or
it,
this summer. Sorry.
yeah, the only thing I really liked about it was, like, the whole Interstellar. How I've been gone for 30 minutes, but it's been 15
Yeah.
years. Like, it was cool. Like, tugs on your strings a little bit, and then it just died off. I felt like
The cat
so.
was funny. The robot cat.
Yeah, that honestly was my favorite part. He was pretty damn funny.
Socks.
But mhm.
It is what it is, right?
I mean, yeah. How good could it have been, right? But hey, on this podcast, we do like to believe that any movie could be a
Yeah.
super good movie. So,
We checked
You
it
hope
out.
so.
And yeah.
I mean, if you're already paying $6.99 for Disney, I guess watch it if you got nothing else to do. But
Lightyear starts with what? Big L, right?
exactly, nice.
That's good.
Proper usage.
Next one that we thought was Nate said he saw this was The Black Phone.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually really like this movie.
I did too.
Thought it was a pretty straightforward formula that we've seen. This was written by Joe Hill, which is an
Stephen King's
Stephen
son.
King's
no?
son.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there is a lot of residue in this movie. There's a lot of my dad influence, my writing here, which I don't take as a negative. I take as in, like, that's why I think this story interested me. I haven't seen what is the other movie? Scott Derrickson and
Doctor Strange.
no, and Ethan Hawke.
Oh, and what is that movie called? Sinister.
Sinister.
Oh, I actually really like
I
So,
fucked with
Sinister.
that.
so I
think
saw a
you'd
lot of
like
people
that.
saying there's a connection to this. Like, if you like this movie, you'll like probably Sinister a little more or whatever it may be. I haven't seen it, so I did think a lot. This movie style really kind of stood out to me a little
Mhm.
bit. And then also, I think Nate had kind of talked about this a little bit before. Like, the trailer did reveal a little bit too much that I would have liked in this one.
Yeah, it did.
Okay, that's where I wanted to take this. So I have not seen this movie,
Mhm.
but it's funny. My mom has seen this movie. My dad asked me about this movie, and then my mother-in-law, who doesn't really care about movies at all, she asked my wife, like, "Have you guys heard about this? Are you guys gonna see this? Like, I've been hearing about this movie." Did you think that the trailer, now that you guys have seen it, was the trailer too much, or did it
100%.
have that nope thing where it was
No.
like, oh, this is a misdirection?
Honestly, I'm gonna say like straight up, the movie. After seeing the trailer, the movie's pretty much exactly what you think it's gonna be. I feel like it doesn't do anything that I was like, oh, whoa, no way. But I think if the trailer would have just portrayed it as a kidnapping movie with maybe a little something else going on, and then you get the reveals throughout the movie, like, oh, there's some supernatural elements of it. This girl has visions that are unexplained.
I
Like,
think maybe that's the reveal.
yeah, I guess, but even in the trailer, I feel like that she was like, I have visions, or I don't remember what the fuck the trailer is, but
Did it not feel like a reveal when that happened?
no, I didn't feel like it was. But like what you were saying, Ro, is that I feel like the style behind it was really good. Ethan Hawke was a creep. I thought he did a pretty good job. He's really not in it for that long, but it's a good movie.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
That's interesting
He
to
doesn't
me.
have a whole lot of screen time, I feel like. But when he does, I mean, he kind of commands it, so he does good. And I don't even think you ever see his face. Like, he's pretty much wearing a mask until like the very, very end. Which I honestly wish we would have got a little bit more into his character. You know what I mean? Like, there's just not. It's just kind of like bad guy. You know what I mean?
That's the one part, yeah.
And it's just like some movies are like that. Like, but I wish that we got a little.
I think
more
that
into
was the
him.
part that I liked so much, though, is that we kept getting, every time we did get Ethan Hawke's character, we got like different versions of the mask. Like, this mask has like 8 pieces, so we just get revealing different parts of his face. You don't know what he wants to do with the kids, and I think that's what kind of is the creepiness of this movie. So I was saying to Gus in the episode of Nope, this has championed, or this has been marketed, or has been thought of as a W for horror this year, because it gets made like $100 million in the box office, which is a really good
pretty
for a
good.
horror movie. So that's interesting. I think it's a formula that people are obviously saying they like. It obviously done really good. I don't like the second one as much as I like the first one in the remakes, but people still went out to watch them. So this is something people like.
Horror is just bankable, and
Yeah.
if you, especially when it's something, it's nice when it is something original because they can always just go back into the IP treasure chest and like, hey, new Freddy Krueger, new Jason.
Exactly.
But even though I have not seen the Black Phone, just like what Alvaro said, this is the opposite of the Bullet Train Lost City thing, where it's like this is actually a win, where you made something original,
Yeah.
and it made a lot of money, so a lot of people have seen it. I've also been seeing it just blasted across Prime Video, like rent this movie, rent this movie, rent this movie.
Yeah.
I do want to see it. I don't know. I just was a little put off from the trailer, honestly, and then. Dude, we've been talking about this movie for a long time. Like, this has probably
The
been
trailer's
brought
been
up
out for, like, over
on
a
our-
year.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
this has probably been brought up on this podcast at least 3 or 4 times.
100%.
So that was another thing for me. The fact that it had been just delayed so many times, I thought that was like a new mutant sign. Where I'm like, oh shit, they've delayed this 5 times. This probably sucks.
Yeah, I get
Um,
that.
The only reason I haven't watched it yet is because I don't want to pay $20 for it. But
Yeah.
as soon as I can rent it for like $5, I'm definitely gonna throw it on.
And I'm not even gonna lie, like I felt like the horror aspect of it, I felt like it was a little bit less of a horror movie, but the suspense and the anxiety I felt like was there. There were a few parts where I was like, ah, fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like getting anxious about the movie. But no, it was cool. It was cool. The end popped off. I thought the end,
I think what I did really like about this movie was I wasn't expecting its violence factor.
Yes, exactly.
So
It
you
did
do
catch
get
me
that
off
in
guard.
Stranger Things and It, but not to the degree that this movie takes it to. The little girl does a really good performance. Her sister, his sister, of the main character.
The kid actors did a good job in this movie, I thought.
So I think that's always something I really do enjoy watching is kid actors really take it to an adult level, which I think this movie does really well. It has one of my favorite Latino characters of the year. That's for
He's
sure.
badass,
He's
dude.
badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. So that movie is worth checking out for sure.
I would agree.
The other movie that I have is one of another of A24's kind of in the lineup for this year, which I wasn't very excited for, honestly. And then I checked out and I was crying. It says Marcel the Shell. Very feel-good story. We kind of got that from the trailer. But I do definitely think it's worth checking out. Animation style is definitely something that stood out. Just because you don't see much, that kind of like stop motion is always something I think is very artistic. Takes a lot of time to get that stuff done. I think Marcel is everybody benefits from watching this movie. It's your heart turns a little bit more golden from it. So
Did you guys ever watch like those OG YouTube videos with Marcel back
I
in
had-
the day?
no, I had never.
Because I used to watch those. So when I saw this, I was like, what are they gonna do?
Oh,
But
okay.
it's cool to hear that it's good.
because people who are fans of those videos are like the movie is like right up that avenue. Just
Nice.
expands on that more. I had never watched the YouTube, which is why I wasn't that interested in it. But it finally came to our theater around here. I wasn't doing anything that day, and I figured why not, you know. And I actually definitely can see why people. This could be their favorite movie of the year. I think it has the same effect that Everything Everywhere All at Once has, where you benefit from watching this movie. So I would highly suggest. I know Gus really likes animation. I would highly suggest this movie.
Gang. So I don't know how many movies you have left on your list, but I say give me the top 3 that you have left, because I did want to kind of get to the other movies we've seen this summer that are not from this year, because I'm sure we've probably seen some really good ones. Honestly.
Yeah, it's perfect. I have 2 just left that we haven't talked about that I really enjoyed. So 3,000 Years of Longing. That's George Miller's new movie. Very stylish director. I'm not going to say a great director because he has a very interesting repertoire of films.
Mad Max.
Happy
Feet
Feet.
and Babe.
Yeah. So nothing against Happy Feet, but I'm just saying it's not the kind of range we see from our usual directors that we talk about on this podcast. To each their own. They're not. I remember liking Happy Feet. I don't know if it's
I've never seen such a huge step in the make one for me, make one for them.
Exactly.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah. So I mean that could be interesting as you can see it, but this film I think kind of banks off the same thing that Mad Max has. I'm kind of wanted to revisit those movies just because I find myself coming across it a lot and kind of thinking maybe this movie is cooler than I thought I remembered it. So I wanted to revisit those, but this movie I think did a really interesting take on just like the art of storytelling, and Idris Elba plays an interesting role here. I think some of the CGI and some of the parts of it doesn't seem to hold up as well. I think because he's like a huge genie at some points, and I think like that those kind of parts. There's some parts in there where I felt were a little weak in that, but I did like what this story kind of just inputs to what I watched this summer in terms of nothing is like it. Very unique.
It's very interesting to me because I'm not a huge George Miller fan. Even Fury Road, I fall asleep every single time I watch Fury Road. I don't think it's that great, honestly. Kill me, I know, right? But and then like stuff like Happy Feet and Babe and things like that. Like even those movies for what they are, those were none of my favorite like kids movies.
I
You
fuck
know what
with
I mean?
Happy
Like when I
Feet.
would
I do like
watch
Happy
Feet.
when I
Yeah.
watched Babe, I would always kind of be upset. I'm like, this is
Babe is
highly
mid.
upsetting to me. Like,
Yeah.
very
Babe
mid.
is mid.
But Happy Feet's pretty legit.
Yeah, okay, sure. I was more of a Surf's Up guy myself.
Okay, fair enough. That's
but-
better than Happy Feet.
All right, huh? That's a good argument.
Chicken Joe, what's up?
Yeah, definitely, dude. George Miller directing that Biggie Smalls Penguin, that's singing Hypnotized.
Yeah.
Wow, cinema. Very Kino.
Very Kino.
Yeah, I don't know. 3,000 Years of Longing, it's one that has not really caught my interest because it looks like live action Aladdin meets that movie Immortals. Do you remember that movie that came out like
Yeah, fucking- yeah.
after 300 where it was like, yo, is this a 300 spinoff? But it
But
wasn't.
it wasn't.
Yeah, it kind of felt like that. So I've just been treading with caution. I mean, Alvaro really likes it, so that makes me want to check it out more, but also not enough for me to actually see it. The CGI stuff, yeah, from the trailer, it looked kind of weak. And then I don't know what happened to Idris Elba somewhere along the line. Like he was taking all the steps to be like, oh, this is it, right? Like, and then I felt like because he didn't get to play James Bond, it kind of has totally sidetracked
Yeah.
his career. Where it's like this guy can't even get chemistry with his own daughter.
Yeah,
Movie,
and Beast.
You know what I mean?
That's so funny.
Like the only good things, or really successful things that he's in, are like Suicide Squad and the fact that he played Knuckles in the Sonic movie, which I also saw this summer. Pretty rad.
I like him in Prometheus, but that's my own thing.
But that's even before. You
Yeah,
know
that-
what I
that
mean?
is way
it's like,
before. That is
that
true.
was like that's a cool side character. But him as the main piece, I feel like we're still missing out. Like the Dark Tower was not it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like that movie Beast. I mean, my dad liked it, but take that how you will, right? I don't know, man. I just feel like Idris Elba's kind of we're waiting to get that that role. You know what I mean? And that's just one of the reasons I have not seen the movie either, because I'm feeling very iffy on Idris Elba stock right now.
I feel it.
But yeah, I mean, it could be super interesting, like you said. I mean, I've heard some stuff about George Miller kind of funding this movie himself, and maybe that's why it's so out there and wild, and he can take these risks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be checking this movie out.
It does
but
remind
sound
me of its like 300s stage lighting. like where everything looks like why does it look like?
Okay,
like
that's
what-
either
this-
very good or very
No,
bad.
that's
Sepia-
what I mean,
the
like in a
sepia
cool-
filter,
in a
yeah.
cool- yeah. Like for me, it was in a very cool way. It's just like, damn, the sky looks fucking like just ridiculously saturated. But like I
The
said,
sky was like bronze.
yeah, but
Got the Hercules clouds up there.
I didn't enjoy it. But the last one that I had to bring up was actually there's only A24 screening room. I think it may be out now actually on video on demand. It's Funny Pages, which is Owen Klein's debut. This is an Elara Pictures, which I think is really interesting because I felt a lot of Safdie in this movie. This is a comedy, which is something we don't get a lot of anymore, but one of those dark comedies that I really enjoyed and couldn't help but really connect to, like Good Times, the tension, and Uncut Gems. That tension of just this character that you're not sure if you really like, and him in such a niche type unique situation. And I think I just end up really liking what I learn from these characters. He's a cartoon artist, and I think I just like being in that world. Very funny. Andy Milikanakis is in it.
Oh, nice.
Just kind of has like this very humorous role. I thought it was one of my favorite of the year, honestly. I don't know, maybe I just like that white knuckle type filmmaking, and I thought this was a really strong debut. And I'd highly would suggest this movie to anybody who kind of likes that type of filmmaking or is looking for one of those more indie type filmmaking that I don't think this movie will be highlighted that much this year. A24 has it, obviously, so maybe it'll get a little bit more spotlight on it, but I do think this is one of my favorite of the year.
Solid.
So, well, Nate, actually, I wanted to ask you this. You said you've seen a lot of kids' movies.
I've seen a couple of them, yeah.
Right, so you saw Minions.
The Rise of Gru.
You saw
I did
Super
the
Pets
League of
movie.
Super Pets, yeah.
Did you see the clip of The Rock when they asked him if he could be anybody's pet? Whose pet would he be?
No, what do you
He said
say?
he would be Megan Thee Stallion's dog.
Oh my god.
And then they asked him why, and Kevin Hart was like, "You know why."
Jesus criminy. No, I saw, Minions, Rise of Gru. I've honestly seen all the Despicable Me movies for whatever reason.
Nice.
This one was enjoyable. I'm not going to say, it's pretty run-of-the-mill, I guess, for a kid's movie. It was enjoyable. There were some parts that made me chuckle, I guess, but, nothing too crazy.
The Minions are back in a big way.
So you weren't one.
I was
even
not
kidding.
a fucking...
I was gonna tell you. So you weren't
a Sir Minion.
You
Yeah,
didn't-
just
you
a
didn't-
Minion.
You didn't pull up to watch it in the suit.
No, dude, they're kicking everybody out there.
Dude.
You weren't a gentle minion?
But I don't really understand that, honestly, but I guess it's kind of funny. No, I mean, Minions is cool. It's enjoyable. Animation's exciting, and I like Steve Carell. He's always interesting.
I don't know what happened, but I feel like after the last Minions movie, people were just fully done with it, right? Where it's just like, you've killed this, you've baboyed and bananaed as many times.
They have brought that back.
But
yeah.
maybe it's just
Baboy,
because
banana.
maybe it's because after the pandemic, and this is kind of a down bad summer, I would say overall. That when we needed them the most, they were there for us.
They,
The
Yeah.
Minions,
they
you know
will
what I mean?
always be there for you.
Banana.
I also do think it just is because of like the level of production that these
Yeah.
Universal animated movies are.
They put a lot
The
of money into that.
Illumination movies, other than Disney, who else are you getting this level from?
You're not really. And you everybody that's in that, they're pretty big names, so you get a lot of good voice
Yeah.
acting.
Steve Carell.
But, League of Super Pets, I thought that movie was going to be horrible. I was not excited to go see it. I was not. I was almost kind of dreading it. It made me laugh my ass off at parts, I'm not going to lie. Especially in the beginning. The end kind of got into the story's pretty mid, but the beginning of it I thought was pretty funny. Rock and Kevin Hart and everybody else in it does a good job. There's a little hamster guinea pig thing that cracked me the fuck up, to be honest.
I like
As
it.
stupid
We've
as it
gone
is.
soft.
I know. Been in dad mode, so. But no, it was good. It was enjoyable. If you have a kid, if you're looking for something lighthearted and entertaining, or if you like superheroes, it'd be a good one to see.
I mean, I have heard this opinion going around from grown adults who are quote unquote film critics, right? So I don't know, man. Every year there's got to be one kids movie where it's like adults do not acknowledge that it exists, but that's a hot button. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you guys want to watch Super Pets? Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny,
I mean, my daughter liked Elvis, but she's built different. Like, yeah. I mean, that kind of wraps up my summer movie viewings that were new. I unfortunately did not get to see Jurassic World, even though I heard it was bad. Surprisingly empty, not on your list.
Oh.
Explanation, please.
Oh, Jurassic.
Yeah, I want to know.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting. I just completely
Too many locusts.
I didn't. And I was looking at the movies I watched this summer. It might have been right before I started looking at the list. Oh, yeah. I see it now. Anyways, because Hustle was this summer, too, actually.
I did enjoy that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah. Well, you watched that
That
too,
was a
right?
good ass movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did like that movie.
So, actually, I must have forgotten one last week of summer here. But, yeah, Hustle, which we kind of did talk about, I think, a little bit.
We did mention
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so yeah, go watch that if you're a Sandman fan, which we are in this podcast. Jurassic World Dominion, dinosaurs cool, right? That's why we watch it. Chris Pratt is not what's wrong with these movies. I think I think he gets a lot of hate.
He's not that guy.
But this movie just didn't need to be made. Honestly, it.
Dropping the gauntlet.
Boom.
Yeah.
Not
It
only
just
was it
cut him
bad-
off.
No,
No.
he didn't even say it was bad. He said
It
this
shouldn't have
movie
been
should not
made.
exist.
it just really feels the worst case of trying to. You remember this, right? You remember the nostalgia of the
Memberberries?
first ones, yeah. And I just think it's the same plot that's been reused 3 times, and I just don't think it really brings anything else to the saga that needs to be brought. And I'm gonna keep watching them, even though I'm saying this, because dinosaurs are cool, and this is the only
Dinosaur franchise.
dinosaur franchise. Any dinosaur movies that we're getting, kind of like the same thing with Top Gun, is the only Jets movies we're getting. I know we're getting one more this year, but besides that, we don't get very many. So, I guess, yeah, check it out
what
if
it
you're.
is. This
It
is-
is what it is. Yeah,
This is the plight of liking dinosaurs.
I just don't want to
Yeah.
really. It's forgettable. That's why I have not much.
Like,
to
I'm
say,
not.
right?
Go ahead, Nate.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, so you had the Jurassic whatever, the first Jurassic World with Chris Pratt, and then the middle one. As soon as they as soon as that stupid little girl released the damn dinosaurs, I was
Yeah.
just like, this is gonna be bad.
Exactly.
And then seeing the trailer and everything, I'm just like, this is good. This has to be bad. So that's why I haven't seen it. I love the Jurassic Parks, but I think maybe they should have just kept them in the damn parks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll check it out eventually.
The
but-
message of the first movie is that this was a bad idea,
Yeah.
and they just kept remaking them, and like, no, we're gonna try to fix this bad idea.
Very meta.
Yeah, exactly. I do feel you were so preoccupied with if you could, you didn't think about if you should. My wife is just bugging me to see this movie because, much like Alvaro, dinosaurs equals me watching.
Yeah.
Maybe the extended cut will save it.
Yep,
if
maybe.
it had 30 more minutes, those locusts would make sense,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
That's the big thing I've seen going around is this discourse about, like, you have this movie about dinosaurs and then you decide to make the bad guys at the end
Locusts.
locusts. And then Colin Trevorrow gave this long convoluted answer. It's like, no, man, you don't understand. It's because the Jurassic go into the Cretaceous. It's like a passing of the torch. I'm sure I got all of that wrong. He was saying something along those lines of, like, that's the message he was trying to convey,
Oh,
right?
okay.
It's like, dinosaurs are no longer the big problem. It's bugs now.
Just make the movie, dude.
I feel like they have totally wasted the potential of this Jurassic World idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they need to be more like World War Z type movies. You know what I mean? Or it's just something else.
I just want to see,
I'm
he's
tired
getting
of seeing Chris
overran
Pratt
with.
put his hand up and telling the stop.
Just riding
Stop,
some sort of
right?
dinosaur,
it's-
into
Who is this
battle.
guy? He's
I
a
don't
dinosaur
know.
trainer. I don't like Chris Pratt in those movies. Chris Pratt, he is not him. I'm tired of seeing him in these roles of like treating
He is
him like
not
he's
him.
Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that because he's not.
He got on steroids, bro. He is, dude.
Tomorrow War, all those other movies that he's in where he just wears a black dad hat and he's like military. None of those work for me. But yeah, overall, Alvaro, you've seen a shit ton of movies. Did you think that this was a good summer movie season?
Well, Top Gun and Nope are pretty standouts. Last year, Our Beloved Green Knight is Our Beloved Green Knight, but it's not a summer. It was a summer flop. But this year, with Nope and Top Gun and The Black Phone, it did feel pretty good. And another thing that I did want to bring up is Jaws is in IMAX in theaters right now, which me and Gus went to go watch. So we just saw Jaws this summer. So
I saw
That's
Jaws
tight.
hours before recording this. I seen it again.
That's pretty tight.
Yeah,
Love Jaws.
every time I watch it, I'm like, yo, was that the best movie ever?
Yes.
It's like 100 and something degrees out here, so it felt very summerish to watch Jaws and just.
I made sure to have my popcorn and soda pop. I was like, how are you gonna watch Jaws and not do the
You
movie
can't.
experience?
You can't.
You know, so good. I mean, we've joked many times about we would never do a Jaws episode because like, what are we gonna say? And even now that I've seen it all these times, I can't think of anything else to say except for like, oh, it's so good. It's
I'm
so
not
good.
even because I watched it. I honestly watched Jaws probably like 2 or 3 months ago, and I was still blown away.
Yeah,
like this
right.
is so fucking
What I will
sick,
say
dude.
is seeing it in theaters for the first time, and then also with IMAX, you know, expanding those bars. I did notice a lot more detail that I had never, you know, seen from watching it on my TV, and then the sound as well. Like there's a couple of jokes in there that are just really hilarious. Like when Chief Brody they're kind of having their like town council meeting of all the business owners, and he's like, "We're gonna close the beach for 24 hours," and the lady goes, "24 hours? That's like 3 weeks."
It's so funny.
Just small little like details I never really noticed.
the outfit game.
Yeah, you got to see that drip in 4K. Yeah, I mean the music was another thing that really stood out to me. I mean everybody knows the dun dun, but there's John Williams did not just settle with the dun dun. You know what I mean? Like this is one of the best movie soundtracks, and like every little moment has these just kind of callbacks. Like I even noticed like Quint sings that song like "Farewell to You, Spanish Ladies," but then like sometimes when he's like looking around, the music will play like John Williams does it like on the flute. You know what I mean? Like,
Sick.
oh, it's so good. Everything about Jaws is just
It's a perfect
so
movie.
Yeah.
It's a perfect movie. And
But I remember when we walked out, I told Alvaro, I was like, "Did Akira Kurosawa ever make Jaws? Did Stanley Kubrick ever make Jaws?"
But you have those shots too when they're in the ocean. It's the sky shots. Did you just a
So
gorgeous
beautiful.
movie? Yeah. And you have the famous Hitchcock shot in there, which in just 4K IMAX. Just I don't know. It's just a technical achievement of the utmost kind.
The color too. The
Mhm.
TV will never do this movie justice until you see it on the big screen and you see just how beautiful the setting is for this movie. Like I feel like I never honestly paid that much attention to it. I was like, oh, okay, it's an island, but just seeing it blown up like that and seeing the detail of these sets, especially because it's like Universal sets and things like that. Yeah, so sick.
This
And you can
is-
also tell, you're like, wow, this is so studio tour. Like I can definitely tell that all of this is fake.
Exactly. This is one of the movies that the tram at Universal got more love for me for, because I've seen they do have a lot of the sets of Jaws on there. So that's I do think that holds a little special place in my heart, because as a kid I did have I have an enamor for certain movies that there's like I've seen behind the scenes stuff or whatever. So yeah, Jaws is like one of the best movies, obviously, of all time, and pretty perfect movie. So this summer felt better than some of the other summers that I've had or seen, but I do feel like I was paying more attention, you know. So it's a little unfair to qualify. I did watch also a lot of other movies that didn't come out this year, like you talked about. We watched Collateral,
Yeah.
which
sick.
is
Yo, is that my briefcase, homie?
That
yeah.
movie's sick.
So
I love that
exactly.
movie.
So just after watching Top Gun, kind of on a Tom Cruise renaissance, just watching why is this guy one of the best to ever do it. Saw Jerry Maguire, really like
Yeah,
Jerry
Jerry
Maguire.
Maguire's
You know
good.
what I mean?
You gotta watch
Um,
The Color of Money, dude, with him and Paul Newman. So
yeah.
good.
The Color of, that's what you had suggested, and then we watched Collateral, which I just think is such a cool movie.
It
you
is a
know,
cool movie.
It's his character is Tom Cruise doesn't really like signing off on being the villain too often, and I think this movie he plays the perfect. You just don't know much about this character, and I think him. I don't know what type of outfit they gave him here, where he's supposed to look older, right, with the gray hair.
Pepper
or-
hair, the George Clooney hair.
Yeah, it's just. I think he was almost like just peak of at the end of his peak, so it just feels like it's just the perfect Tom Cruise movie. And this one just, I hadn't seen it, so it really gave me that Spike TV energy, and yeah, that like that's
Spike
such a
TV.
fun movie.
Okay, so I kind of wanted to wind it down soon, but what was overall the best movie you saw this summer that wasn't from this year? Like an old movie?
An old movie.
Yeah.
I-
That's
dude.
kind of how I wanted to end it.
I feel like all the movies that I've seen that aren't new are terrible. Honestly.
Oh really?
Like I watched.
I've watched a lot of crap this
I
summer.
recently
Like bad
watched
shit.
a couple of nights ago. I watched. It's a horror movie called Host. It's like it came out in 2020. I don't know who's in it. I don't know who directed it. I did not care to look because it was that bad. But it was like it's one of those COVID movies. Basically, It's like 6 different girls are all friends. They're stuck on lockdown, and they decide to do a seance over a Zoom call.
Is this an adult film?
Yeah, it's right.
Alabama Jones in the bucket.
It is fucking horrible. I hated that movie. A good movie that I did see that I'd recommend. It's a documentary, actually. It's called Minding the Gap. Brandon Liu did it. It's about 3 of these different these skateboarders that became friends. They all ran away from home when they were younger. It's pretty sad. It gets into a lot of, troubling things, but it's, it's a really good movie. I'd check that out if you're into skateboarding or, things like that.
Docs.
Yeah.
So I would say I don't even think that this is necessarily the best one I saw, but I think it's the one I'll probably watch the most and stuck with me was Copland.
I watched that too. Copland was
Right.
sick, dude.
But then I can't do this episode without bringing this up because you've seen it as well, Nate. We're part of the Hive. We've joined the world. We have seen RRR.
Oh yeah, dude. Jesus.
Phenomenal.
That movie was.
Bruh, do not let this movie's runtime deter you. This is
No.
3 hours that feels like 2. You
Honestly.
know what I mean?
That one of the most ridiculous. If you thought Elvis was on crack, this thing is on something else. This is Bollywood at its greatest. I think it's just so over the top.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite movie experiences I had so far in the
I had
entire
so
year.
much fun watching
It
that.
easily jumped up into my list. Like in December, I will be
forgot
talking about
that movie,
RRR.
dude. My God.
What can I say, man? Summoning the animals and using them to fight. The ultimate bro romance.
Yep.
The dance sequence.
It's
right?
incredible.
Like it really is just so fucking good, dude.
It's just so-
one guy fighting like 2,000 people. Like,
Yep.
is so
20-minute
fucking
long
sick.
dance number for no reason. Like just yeah.
The ending dance scene.
Dude, my
that,
God.
During the credits, that was
Yeah.
kind of incredible.
It is.
I liked all the allusions to like the political leaders or like
Mhm.
activists. I thought that was so. I've never seen anything like that
know.
before.
It's a very unique film. I don't think there's be anything like that, honestly. But
I could not describe it to you. You just have to watch it, dude.
it's like 16 different things
it
wrapped
has
in
put
one.
me in a rabbit hole though because now I'm like I need to watch this director's other movies and I want to see other movies like this. So like on my Netflix account right now, I have like a bunch of like Indian movies that are similar, just like queued up. Where I'm like, bro, give me these like action movies or like superhero-ish type movies that you
Yeah,
guys are
like-
making. They're so much more creative.
They are. They're just like that's a fun movie. Like I did not know what to go into thinking about it. I had seen a lot of discourse about it on Reddit. Everybody's like, I can't like what you said. I can't really explain it, but I loved it and I'm gonna watch it again. And so I checked it out and it's awesome.
I remember texting you because you had told me you'd seen it, and I was like, dude, I'm watching it right now. This is so sick.
Like, let's go, dude.
I wasn't even. It was almost like I was live tweeting you the movie.
Mhm.
I'm like, dude, that scene was so tight right now.
that part, dude, it's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think that winds it down for me. Ro, did you say what you thought the best movie was that's not from this summer? Was it Collateral?
Very hard question. No, very hard question. I watched a lot of good old movies this year. I guess if I had to pick one, just because
It would have to be this summer, not just this year.
Oh yeah, but that I watched this summer would probably have to be just somebody. I'm gonna bring him up because we've brought him up on the podcast. Probably one of my current favorite directors is I watched Incendies, which is one of Denis Villeneuve's first movies. That was amazing. That was an incredible movie. Have you seen that, Nate?
I haven't seen it.
Insane movie. Just one of the best twists in Hollywood, or I don't even know if that's considered Hollywood, but in filmmaking that I've seen. Just top tier cinematography, and the story is just. I think it's from a short story or a book. So again, one of these few directors that could really take up literature and kind of really put that same element and those themes and those emotions that a book can evoke, can really get them in this movie. First scene is like very straightforward film, just kind of has its twists, and then I really enjoyed where it headed. So I thought that was like a masterpiece. So that's probably my favorite movie.
He is
of
a
the summer.
master.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best, obviously. So yeah, man, I think that this summer was a little mix of everything. Honestly,
Yeah, it
I
was a
thought
grab
it had some
bag.
incredibly high highs, and I do think that really carried the summer.
Mhm.
And then I think it was just a lot of like, I don't want to call it forgettable, but just
Run of
things
the
that are
mill.
not like I don't know how many people's favorite movies came out this year.
Yeah.
This summer, you know what I mean? Other than like Nope or Top Gun or something
Mhm.
like that. Interestingly enough, I do think that even in the whole, and we'll talk about this later on when we do like our top 10 of the year and stuff like that. I think that this has been a year where the big studios have gotten it right more than the smaller studios.
Something
Like,
you don't see very often.
yeah, kind of like the movies is back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where we're getting these really interesting either original movies like The Black Phone, or we're
Nope.
getting or Nope, or we're getting the biopics like Elvis, the legacy sequel like Top Gun. But I do think that this summer has done right. You know what I mean? Like it's been a good blockbuster summer, but
Sure has.
I think it kind of like petered off at the end. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit! Like I feel like for the Roe was like stacking them up, right? And then like for like 3 weeks, it was kind of like, I think I've seen everything. Like I don't know if there's actually anything out right now, and I feel like I've been noticing less trailers when I go to the movies.
I have too.
So this is a subject for when we're doing the end of the year, but yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun.
It was a
with
good
those-
summer.
with
It was
those
a very
highs.
fun summer, I feel like. So I can't really complain
Yeah,
about
the
that.
highs were really good. So
Ate a lot of popcorn, drank a lot of Slurpees. You know what I mean? So
Just something about the summer, dude, with the movies. Even when you're watching them at home, it's just like, I'm not fucking going outside, dude. I don't want to deal with that. I'm gonna watch 3 movies today, and I don't feel like any other time of the year really does it better than summer. Like
Agreed.
it just feels like prime movie watching hours. And I bet it has something to do with like when you were a kid. I was a lot like this. During the summer, I'd be like, oh, at midnight, I'm gonna watch like 3 movies and I'm gonna stay up. And
Yep.
I just feel like that never really goes away.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, man. Next week is we're doing the Green Knight next week.
Let's do it.
It's his
Finally.
birthday. Yeah, he says going forward, we get to pick our movies, right, for our birthday.
Yeah, for our,
I like it.
On our birthdays, we will be picking movies, and we probably could have done you last year, but I don't think. Oh, well, it was already so scheduled.
Sometimes they're not going to land as well, so we're going to have to do some adjustments, obviously. But he has called to summon the Green Knight, which
The movie that basically started everything.
Yeah, we've
All
talked
right.
about how this is a staple piece in not just the podcast, but the friendship. I think we all trusted each other a little more because we love the Green Knight. Can't wait.
I'm
I know.
excited.
I know. Gus has had a lot to say about this movie for
I
a
have
year.
notes from
Person
last
at the
year.
scene.
Versus
Yeah.
what I'm in right now.
That's so
You know what I
funny.
mean?
So we're very excited to finally bring that. I think it needs to be rebroadcasted again. The Green Knight is a very great movie.
This movie is why we started the pod, dude. Is like movies like The Green Knight, and I feel like now that we're almost at that 1 year mark, it's time to go back to kind of our roots of like, yo, they don't talk about this movie enough, and I can't wait to fucking do it, man. So
Yeah.
next week, tune in for my dissertation on The Green Knight and what it all really means.
A 3-hour episode.
My thesis.
But yeah, man, thanks for checking back in. Subscribe, like, press all the buttons, share it with your class, share it with your professors.
Let us know. Yeah, let us know what your favorite movie this summer was.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. Or if you even went to the movies
Yeah,
this summer.
true.
Yeah, we might have missed some, so let us know. There's a lot of movies out.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.
See ya.